What's the hardest part of running a gym in Boston? Is it the mice or that horrible accent that people have?
Oh man, honestly, it's all the hard AI sounds. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah,
No,
it's terrible.
it's not the accent. To be honest, and this isn't a Boston thing. I think a lot of people experience this. Staffing is my biggest headache day to
Yeah.
day. Like if nothing else, if without staffing, I could wake up every day and be happy, and the gym was going well, and the product is good, the program and the members are happy, the coaches are happy, but it's a transient thing. People come and go, they get their degree, they graduate, they move, they buy a house, they move, they have kids, they move, whatever, right? I'm always losing people. And to keep a pipeline of coaches or find coaches that are professional coaches and stay and are in this industry and can contribute and commit to the community, it's tough. And there's a lot of people who want to be in this industry, but there aren't always opportunities that afford them the perks of a livable wage or the benefits that they need to take care of themselves and their family. And so it's hard to get good talent and to be able to provide enough for them to stay and not just be a part-time coach and be able to invest more in this.
The days of paying people $8 an hour and free fit aid are over.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think it's
those are
so
the good old days.
difficult to. It's hard for a coach to make a career out of
Mhm.
CrossFit coaching if it doesn't involve owning part of the gym, right?
Yeah.
Because it
Yeah.
just the finances of owning a gym make it extremely difficult for the gym owner and let's say an entire team of coaches to have full livable wage.
Yeah.
Because yes, I know CrossFit gyms are expensive, but realistically, we don't have that many members compared to
Right.
these mega gyms that can staff full-time people in management positions and stuff like that. So I think that's maybe a common misconception that people have is
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
CrossFit gyms make a ton of money and they can really afford to pay their coaches well. I always wanted to pay my coaches well.
Right.
I thought we did,
Yeah.
but it still is hard for us to meet the demand that a younger person comes in and says, I want to make a career out of this. Well, there's really not much upward momentum within a CrossFit gym,
Right.
or at least most CrossFit gyms,
Yeah.
unless they eventually become an owner or unless they open up their own gym or something like that. So it's really hard. I remember that being a very, very tough thing back when I had my affiliate too.
Still. Yeah, I don't want to unglorify the position because obviously I love what I do, but it's not a super, super cash flow positive business, right? And a lot of gyms, there are definitely obviously exceptions on both ends, but a lot of gyms in that middle ground are going to have enough cap space for one, maybe two salaries. And usually that's the owner, right? And maybe a head coach or GM. And then if not, it's rolled up in the owner's salary. And so you can't accommodate, to your point, someone else having a full livable wage. You can get someone an entry-level position, right? There's an entry-level salary. There's room for that. But to your point, as they mature within your business, there's not a lot of cap room to bump that salary up as they climb that ladder. And to your point, the only way out is to become partner, owner, or go open your own and be that person.
Right. Or that's where you see a lot of these hybrid models where it's they have this huge PT roster.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, it's tough and not a deterrent, not necessarily a complaint. It's just, it's really hard, but I totally respect what you said earlier about wanting to find professional coaches because for a lot of small gyms, this is all they can do is they have a couple members that are really eager about CrossFit. They get their level ones and they're like, perfect. You know, Todd, Larry, Billy, you're coaches now. And you're like, oh, cool.
Yeah.
And that's fine. And it actually does work really well in a lot of places. But I was always in the mindset of, I really wanted to find people who wanted to be coaches, not just, I want to coach for a free membership. But it's a catch-22. It's very difficult to find a career-oriented coach because it's very hard to make a long-term career in a CrossFit gym without him.
I just listened to a podcast on this with Don Fall, CEO of CrossFit.
Yeah.
And one of his main tenets was they're trying to figure out how can they help affiliates ramp up quicker, understand how to make more money. And I have been toying with the idea of doing a short podcast series on one of these two shows. I do banking in my real life and teaching people revenue and expenses. It's because to your point, I'm not convinced most CrossFit gyms can reach what we want to obtain, which is, to your point, highly trained, highly skilled coaches that make a livable wage. Like, unless they take on different revenue streams. You have to bring on revenue streams outside of just growing membership, because there is for the most part, most gyms, I think, have a cap on how many members they can run, because you need a certain number of coaches per member. And the more coaches you bring on, the more your expense line's going up. And it becomes harder and harder and harder. Not to mention, you need more equipment and more everything. So I do think if gyms can find ways to bring in other revenue streams, whether it's nutrition coaching, whatever kind of sales, bringing on different types of training. Ben, you mentioned PTs. There's a lot of different things they can do to help generate that revenue in the off cycle, because most gyms are effectively closed certain hours of the day.
Right.
If you can figure out how to do that, you can make it work. But there's just, I think the average member looking in just goes, "Oh, Larry's got it good. He's got 2 gyms. He's raking in the cash."
People run the math. They're like, X amount of members. Here's how much it is per month. And it's equals Larry makes this much money.
It's like, it's not how definitely not how it works. I still got to wake up and put my pants on and go to work every day. Otherwise,
it was funny when I bought my affiliate, or bought into it. I have 2 partners, and literally the first day I signed the paperwork, and my partner calls. She said, "Okay, the toilets are backed up." I'm like, "Damn, this is a real job."
Welcome to affiliate ownership.
Like day 1, I'm like, "This sucks. Give me my money back." Man, that is no fun.
Do it because we love it, though.
Well, I would imagine that your coaches, do they feel extra stress because you're on seminar staff, or is that just a huge value add for them?
No, it's definitely a value add. And I think that comes from just my relationship with them. That could definitely be a tense relationship if it's strictly transactional, strictly authoritative. But I try to make it that we're a family. And I think from that, they appreciate what I do outside the gym, and they know I'm only bringing this stuff back to better them and to contribute more to our community, and they appreciate that. So it's actually a really good working relationship in that regard.
You should sell back alley L1s. That'd be for you. It's like fake IDs.
DL 0.75.
Great.
I remember, so I actually was on the opposite end. I was a coach at a gym that had a red shirt. So I was one of the coaches at Christmas Abbott's gym, CrossFit Invoke in Raleigh, North Carolina. That's where I started CrossFit effectively, and also started coaching. And I still remember how nervous I was. Admittedly, Christmas can be a little intimidating sometimes. But deep down, you knew that she was just trying to make her gym better because it was her name on it and her image, but also she was always really, really pouring into me and the other coaches and just trying to make us better. And without her input, and without her red shirt knowledge of how to run a class effectively from start to finish, and seeing and correcting and cueing, verbal, tactile. What's the other kind of cue, Larry?
Visual.
Thank you. Teaching us all these different things. Oh my gosh. I can confidently say it's the only reason the WOD Prep probably exists today. Because she poured that time and energy into developing me, and then was like, "Be free, go." And then I had to leave, and then I opened my affiliate, and the rest is history. So it's Larry is changing lives here, not just on the athlete side, but also on the coaching development side. So it's probably a really big perk for his coaches. And if they don't know that, they should.
Yeah. And there's something to say about the delivery of it all too. Back to your question, John, and to your point, Ben, when I was interning and becoming a professional coach, I spent time with Austin and Denise and that whole crew at Reebok. Right. And so to your point, Ben, I was super nervous when I was doing all this. I was dry and cotton mouth the whole time. Every day I was under a lot of stress and a lot of pressure to reach the expectations of these folks. And I wanted to be like them. And so there was a lot of pressure there. And so when I had the opportunity to share my knowledge and experience with others, I knew and took into account what I felt. And I tried to do the little things to diminish those feelings for them while still delivering the content in an effective way. So I think that helps too.